Welcome back to another day in the life vlog. Today is a bit of a busy day of tutoring, work, and preparing for my first PhD progress review, which I'll explain later in the video. I'm kind of rushing to uni this morning as I'm tutoring 2 classes from 9 AM to midday. And here's a very brief glimpse of that. Now I'm back in the lab, and my classes went well, I think. Though I am kind of rethinking my decision to take classes first thing in the morning, but at least they're over and done with. And so this is the plan for today. Lots of work-related tasks. I do try to do all of that on Mondays so that I can focus on my PhD for the rest of the week. The first task I'm doing is related to my coordinator assistant role. It's basically like an admin support role for undergrad psychology subjects. And what I have to do today is to send out an email reminder to students to complete this task for one of the subjects that I'm looking after. It's a little bit scary to have to send out an email to this many people. And after rereading my email 50 times, I finally press send. Ugh. And next I'm updating attendance for the classes that I just took. I try to keep a record in an Excel sheet, just in case, and then update the Canvas LMS system that we use. And that's done. And then I had my lunch. I was a little bit lazy to go out, so I just ate it at my desk. And now I'm back to work, answering emails from students, including a bunch of replies to the email that I just sent out earlier. And now the last work-related task is to compile a list of students whose classes will be affected by an upcoming public holiday, so that we can reallocate them to different classes that week. I then decided to go for a bit of a walk, and I saw that they opened a gongcha right on campus, so of course I had to get some bubble tea. Back in the lab, I finally started to work on some PhD related tasks. I decided to leave uni relatively early in the afternoon because I wanted to practice my presentation for my first progress review.
Do you miss me? Hello. Yeah, you did. Aww. I have a tripod. Yeah, I guess I should kind of explain what I'm doing or what I'm preparing for in a bit more detail, because I'm not sure if other universities have this thing. It could be just a Melbourne University thing, or it could be also an Australian university thing. I'm not sure. When you start your PhD, about 6 to 1 year in, you do what's called a confirmation. Essentially, I think in other countries they have the same thing, where you're not really a PhD student until you actually pass that stage, that confirmation stage, or whatever else they call it. Yeah, I'm not sure what they call it in other countries. And in some places it could be like doing an exam, or you're doing like a sort of like a thesis proposal defense. In Australia and Melbourne Uni, you essentially meet with your supervisors and just like a chair and a few other people if you've elected to have other advisors on your academic committee, or what it's called. You meet with them and you essentially present your topic. You submit a report that says what your research, that describes your research program and the aims of your PhD and the research questions, as well as some of the studies that you're going to be doing. Yeah, and then you give a presentation on that and essentially try to convince them that what you're doing is feasible and it's a good idea. I think the difference between different institutions is to how much of a test this is. I think at Melbourne Uni, it's a little bit more chill, where it's more about just getting feedback on making sure that your project isn't too big so that you are able to finish on time. But anyway, so I'm not up to that point just yet. I'm up to pre-confirmation, which I think it's a UniMelb specific thing where it's 3 to 6 months into your PhD. It's almost like a pre-check before that big confirmation, I guess, milestone, to make sure that you're on the right track, that you've actually done something in the first few months of your PhD, and that you've thought about your topic. So yeah, I've been preparing for that. And yeah, just from talking to other people, I feel like this is a bit of a weird milestone where some people really have a vague overview where they're not entirely sure what they're doing. They looked at the literature, so they're describing some potential studies that they could do or some potential research questions to look at, whereas other people, and I fall into this camp, have a lot more detail and they've pretty much set out what their studies are going to be. And I guess it depends on kind of what your project is. Whether your project is attached to a grant, then you don't really need to think about designing the studies as much as other people. And I guess in my case, things sort of just ended up falling into place, so I didn't really have to think too much about what my studies are going to be. And so yeah, my meeting's this Friday. I'm kind of excited, kind of nervous. It'd be good to get it out of the way. And now, yeah, I'm just trying to practice my presentation, but also kind of read back on my report and make sure that I've sort of thought through things a bit deeper, because they will ask you like questions and things to consider. And there's definitely things that I've thought about, but it's just not written down. So I do need to kind of like think back and make sure that I've got that on hand, ready to tell people about my plans.
So this is my report that I had to prepare for the pre-confirmation. It's about 3K words, which is much shorter than the report that I'll have to do for the confirmation. And it pretty much lays out my topic and the studies that I'm going to be doing. And it has some details about the timeline for each of my studies and other practical things. And this is my presentation, which I wanted to practice today. This presentation is pretty much a 20-minute summary of what was written in the report. I want to make sure that it's as clear as possible, as I have a feeling that my committee will only really skim over the report rather than reading it thoroughly. To say this up. Okay, so just to give a brief rundown of my presentation, I'll first provide an overview of the different themes of my PhD, and then I'll provide a rationale for my topic and main research questions that I'll be investigating, and then I'll go through my proposed studies, and then I'll finish off with my timeline and some logistics. So first essential theme to my PhD is well-being. Well-being has been conceptualized in a number of different ways, but it's generally agreed to comprise of positive affect, the absence of negative affect, and life satisfaction. And well-being is important for mainly two reasons. It's associated with a lot of positive life outcomes, but it's also something that people generally value. And because of this understanding, so we get given an agenda, which is nice because you don't have to think too hard about how the meeting's going to be run. So basically they're just checking that all of the forms and stuff have been completed. I sent through the report. So yeah, I'll do a little presentation. There's some time for questions, and then the committee discusses without me. And then I come back and they tell me my feedback. And then I guess another point of this meeting is also to make sure that like there's no issues with the supervisors or advisors. And so you have like a chair appointed who's not part of the research area that you're doing. Like my chair's still in psychology, so they're aware of the processes in the psychology school, but they're very removed from what my topic and research area is. And so yeah, like you get time at the end to raise any issues to them about your advisors or supervisors, which yeah, luckily for me it's been going great so far. I don't really have any complaints or any issues, so yeah, hopefully it will be a very uneventful meeting. I've been trying to get back into exercise by doing the Chloe Ting challenge. These exercises are quite hard as I feel like I've gotten a bit out of shape lately. Anyway, I was going to post a full video of me doing this challenge, but sadly I stopped doing these exercises like a week after I filmed this vlog. Okay, here's dinner. It's just a little over, or let's say 2/3 of a chicken breast, and basically a salad of all of the leftover veggies that I had. And I've spent the rest of the evening watching random YouTube videos on my phone, which is why I don't really have footage, so I'll leave this vlog here. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you guys next time.